You know,
Alrighty, guys. Well, thank y'all so much for coming in to the Real Talk, Real Work podcast. And today we have special guest Jamie. He's based out of Canada. And what Jamie does is he's an aftermarket automotive parts delivery driver. So he's going to kind of tell us his story. He's going to tell us, the challenges that he's faced through his career and his life growing up, and kind of everything that encompasses Jamie. So thank you for joining the podcast. And um, yeah, so we'll just kind of get started with the questions here. Yeah, I'll let you say hi really quick, Jamie, if you want.
yeah, thank you for letting me be on.
Okay, perfect. So I wanted to ask you, you know, what what does real talk, real work mean to you personally? Whenever you first heard real talk, real work.
I feel like it means more of that, like being honest with yourself and others. Everything obviously takes time and stuff, and being real with people is an important part of life.
Okay. And then so like what elaborate on that a little bit if you can. Like give us some examples or something
Yeah.
of that nature.
Yeah, so obviously I've been trying to join the military. I've told my parents, they told me it was going to be hard work and that you know, things like that are difficult to comprehend to some people. Obviously, my parents were supportive of me attempting to join the military. So I kind of feel like, I had that real talk with them and they told me it was going to be real work in order to make sure that happens.
Okay. So what branch are you planning to join?
I'm planning to do Air Force. I'm kind of trying to go into military police,
Okay.
which is something I've always wanted to. I've also applied to be a aviation systems tech, which is all the mechanical stuff on airplanes, and
Okay.
avionics systems tech, which is more base. It's more of the electrical side of aircrafts.
Okay. That's pretty intense stuff. I
Yeah.
know I wouldn't be doing that. So, I wanted to ask you, what part of your journey do people typically like overlook or something that they might not know of like about you?
Um, that's actually a really good question. I had a rough childhood growing up. I've been in and out of the foster system for a little bit. I've been in there since I was really young, and eventually I finally got adopted at about 7 years. And yeah, now I consider my family my actual family now instead of what it has been. So
That's awesome to hear. I'm glad that you were able to find a family that supports you, and you seem like a stand-up guy, so it turns out
yep,
life came around, right?
life came around.
That's good. So in your career and life, right? Has there ever been like moments where you realized things had to change?
Yeah, I think about it all the time. Obviously with my job, it's things have to change with that. I have to be wanting more than where I'm at every day. And also just normal things. Obviously our economy isn't the best and there's challenges in that. And I always think of different ways I can, surpass that and make it livable here at times.
Okay. What are some of those like challenges in Canada? Because I'm based out in the US, so tell me those little challenges that it might be a little
Oh,
different.
so for us, a lot of it is, especially where I am in Alberta, we obviously don't like the government for certain reasons. Um, because at the moment we currently sending billions and millions of dollars everywhere else, but to people that actually live here. So obviously our food prices are high because of that. Our gas is high. Um, there's also just other things in general, like our cars and stuff in the way of life has just been really bad. But
Okay. Makes sense. I mean, I heard they have a lot of free healthcare over there, so it's quite
yeah,
different than the US.
Yeah, that is.
So, knowing that, like, what did change look like to you on the day to day?
Day to day, just I make myself little goals that I try to accomplish every day, and kind of try and do that every single day, just some different ones or some of the same ones. And I feel like that, that helps with some of the challenges that we face, and it's a great way to be active and keep my mind sharp on things that I need to do.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, no, it's good to have little tiny goals to, kind of entice yourself, allow you to kind of grow bit by bit every day, right? So that's really good to hear. So, what's the real work behind what you do every day that people don't typically see?
Um, I say a lot of it would be, first thing I do in the morning is I get up and make my bed, which is something that I've always done. So that way when I come home, I have a clean bed. But that, that sets me up for everything else that I'm gonna do throughout the day. Throughout the day. So one small completed goal makes a big difference, and that kind of takes some work in order to do, especially at the start. I've been doing it for a couple of years now, so for me, it's second nature to have that bed made for me. But that kind of just helps with my day. One good thing done.
Okay, so it's one of those things that it's like brushing your teeth, tying your shoes,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just kind of like a
Yeah.
repetitive thing that's like, hey, today I'm gonna have a great day because I did this, right?
Yeah.
And that's good
Yeah.
to
For me,
hear.
it just so happens to be my bed.
What would you say is the hardest part with being consistent in things?
Consistent. That's a good question. I would feel, like every day there's days you just don't want to do it. And if I know if I don't make my bed, I'm not gonna have a good day. So I try to do that, but every now and then I catch myself not wanting to do it. And I just gotta remind myself that if I make my bed, then everything else is just gonna fall into that place that it is gonna be in.
Okay, so it's part of the real work part, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So what's a sacrifice that you've had to make in life that surprised you with like a good outcome?
Um, yeah, it's a question I don't think about often, but I remember back in high school, I used to be friends with a lot of people. Some obviously good, some bad, which is the way life is. Yeah, so I had to, cut off a lot of my friends in order to focus on myself and where I want to be. And surprisingly, that's actually helped a lot. Um, because I've focused on myself. I've figured out where I want to be in life, what I need to do in order to get there, and all just the small little steps that will add up eventually to my goal in the end.
Okay. It's one of those things, right? Like you are who you surround yourself with, right? So, if
Yeah,
it might be that bad influence, it's more of a teaching lesson, right? And then if it's,
yeah,
some people that you want to get to the next step with, you might surround yourself with them and then all of a sudden you're there, right? So it's good to know that you had to take that and it's good that you're aware. Not a lot of people are aware of those inner circles that they create, right?
yeah. I kind of figured that out pretty quick that I need to change who I'm with.
That's good. So how do you handle like doubt and pressure like when it shows up in the real world and in your everyday life?
First thing I always try to do is just remain calm and figure out if like what the situation is, what the doubt is. Is it doubting myself or is it other people that are doubting me? Right? Because if it's me doubting myself, then it's quite an easy fix, I would say. All I'd have to do is, just remind myself what I'm doing, why I'm doing this. And if for some reason I can't do that, I'll go talk to my parents and obviously are gonna reinsure me, make sure that I keep my head in the game. Now, if it's other people, it's a little bit, I find a little bit harder, just because it's more like as humans, we want people to appreciate us and look at us. So I find it a little bit harder just because if people are starting to doubt, that's where that self-doubt comes in. So for things like that, I kind of just remove myself and make sure that I only focus on myself, not worry what other people think about me.
That's good. I mean, at the end of the day, right? All you can really trust is your family and your own self, realistically, right? You gotta have your family around you, and you gotta have a strong core um, to who you are and what your goals are. Because, speaking from experience, every single person always wants to go after what you have, right? Or tear down
Yes.
what you're building. So it's good to hear that, you've kind of grounded yourself and you realize like who you are as Jamie, and then you're willing to make the work, right? So
Yes.
and who or what kind of keeps you grounded?
Um, well, obviously besides myself, obviously my parents do. They're probably like my biggest supporters in everything I've done, making sure that, if I want to do it, that I can do it and I have everything I need in order to do it. So obviously I'm thankful for them for that. They are definitely my biggest supporters.
Okay. That's good. Family means everything, man. So it's good that you found the one that believes in you, right?
Yeah.
So what belief that like what type of beliefs do you have that um you might struggle with from outside sources or opinions?
Um, a lot about what I'm like supposed to be doing at my age.
Okay.
Um, some of that comes from obviously like parents, grandparents, and people that you kind of just meet. Um, a lot of them grew up in a different generation that I've grown up in, that you're probably grown up in. Um, so there's a lot of like disbelief saying that we don't work hard enough or we don't know how to save money. Um, but I think a lot of it does come down to how we were raised, a lot of our beliefs.
Hmm.
Um, but I think some of it is a little bit of everything just in the world that we obviously live in.
Hmm.
So
Okay. And so I kind of want to switch over to what you do day to day on the professional level. So can you elaborate what you mean by aftermarket, for all automotive parts?
yeah, so well, before I had done that aftermarket, I had actually worked at a dealership, worked at a Ford dealership, so I had delivered a bunch of parts and stuff like that. So that was kind of good. And then kind of day to day with that is, get to work, load up the trucks or vehicles, and just go and start delivering all these parts to these places. Now on the aftermarket side, it's a little bit different. So with aftermarket, that can be still, once again, anything, but it's more of like, headlights or tail lights, things that are cosmetic wise
Hmm.
for vehicles. So I can range from, massive semi trucks, because probably have seen semi trucks with aftermarket headlights,
Hmm.
to very small vehicles or like pickup trucks that have different things on them. So I kind of day to day deliver to body shops and stuff like that who requested aftermarket.
Okay. Did you want to get in that space because you like vehicles or you like um automotive just in general?
Yeah, so me personally, I've always loved cars and stuff, and I thought, this was a great way to get into the car business. Obviously, it's not where I would prefer to be, but it is a great starting point for me to learn about vehicles and, somewhat help people with cars and stuff.
Okay. Super cool. So, I mean, now I kind of want to move past that. You said you're going into the military. When does that start?
Um, I'm not 100% sure yet. I still have to do my applications. I'm just waiting on something from the government.
Okay.
And then I'll have to submit that and see what kind of the next steps are. Kind of hoping it's here soon in a couple of months, but obviously I've got to be patient if that's something I really want to do.
Mhm. Is it, um, do you have fright or fear, or is it more of like, no, this is exactly what I want to do?
Um, it's exactly like what I've always wanted to do. I think there's a little bit of fear in there, especially because it is obviously the military and they are very strict. But I think it's more on where I would be placed in the situations that I can get into that are a little bit scary. But
Okay. So, you said you're going for uh the police part of it, right?
yeah,
So does that require different certifications compared to other stuff, or
um, no, it's more. Well, everything requires obviously different certifications, but I know for the police it's more of all legal things that you have to get into and you have to learn about.
okay,
Should be the same as joining, the police force in your state or home area. So, but with the military, it's slightly different just because we work more on a bigger scale. We work more federally in that case. So there's a lot of more sets of rules and things that we can and can't do based off where we are and what the federal law is on there.
okay,
Um, there definitely is a chance that I could be deployed overseas. For example, like I could be deployed in Iran and
mhm,
things like that because of the war. Then it becomes a little bit trickier because now we're kind of dealing more in that international laws, so there's a little bit of differences than it would be federally.
okay. A little frightful with the whole thing in
Yeah.
Iran going on right now, right?
Yep, but could be stationed there. Who knows?
Well, the good thing is you're doing what you feel is right, right? I mean, that's all that really matters, and I'm pretty sure you're making your family proud and your country proud, so that's
Yeah.
good to hear. Um, Now I want to ask you, like, what's some advice that you would give to someone in a position that you were once in?
Um, some advice would probably be, slow down a little bit, take some time, think about what you really want to do in life, and then make little goals on how you can get there. So those goals can be everyday things such as, waking up before 8 a.m. every day, making my bed, and then, having breakfast, brushing your teeth. It can be small goals from those that you make every day for yourself, but also don't forget to make goals that you want every month. Things that you're trying to like work towards that will help you get to where you want. And after all that is done, then you can start your journey to where you want to be. And I feel like that's important is always having that goals and little things that you can check off at the end of the day saying I did this. And then you'll see like progress and you'll see how you feel after some of that is being done.
That's good. It's good to hear. So before we like close this out and everything, I want to ask you one last question. What do you want people to take away from this conversation?
Yeah, so what I want people to take away from this conversation is, everything happens for a reason in life, whether that's good or that's bad. Um, your only choice when that happens is deciding what you want to do with it. How you're gonna deal with, the stress in school, the stress in work, how you want to be able to, overcome those challenges that you have because of that. Um, and you obviously never give up. Your family members are always there to help you. They will make sure you succeed in something that you want. And everything requires effort. It's not just going to happen every day. So you need to make these small changes and challenges and be consistent with everything, even if you don't want to do it.
Well, good. Well, Jamie, once again, and thank you so much for coming on to Real Talk, Real Work. You're one of the first ones to come in and share your story,
Yeah.
so we appreciate you for coming on the show today. And thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thank you, for having me here. It was a pleasure. So,
well, thank you, man. We'll close out, and we'll chat soon.
all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.